don't have graph paper handy. So let me go back there. All right, so the way you graph the points, 0, 0, and we're going to label it A. Next point is 4, 6. We're going to label that B. And 8, 8, -2, and we're going to label that C right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a snip of this, put it into our other workspace, and we'll go from there. Actually, why didn't I label that C? Okay. All right, so have you been bringing graph paper to class or?
No, I haven't, but I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah, you kind of need a lot of stuff for this class. All right, so here we go. We got A, B, C, and we want the perpendicular bisector of AC. So here's AC right there. Okay. So actually B is irrelevant in truth here. Okay. So we need the slope. We're going to need a bunch of things, but the first thing we need is the slope from A to C.
From A to C.
Okay, and there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can use the slope formula, but if you go to the trouble of graphing it, you can get the slope from the rise over run. It's down to right 8.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't want to graph it, you have to go and do it the way we've been doing it before. -2 -0, y2 minus y1, 8 -0, and you still get the same thing, which you do have to reduce to this.
All right. Do you have a recommended strategy?
I always like graphing if you have a lot of time and graph paper. I think visual is really better from almost everyone.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's another thing that's confusing me is that like problem, and then there's like, or not problem, equation formula type thing for slope, and then there's like another one that's like really similar.
Okay, so we need the perpendicular slope, and to get the perpendicular slope, you have to do two things. You have to flip and then opposite, and sometimes it's called opposite reciprocal, depending on if you like that or not. But you flip the fraction and then, or you flip the number, whatever it is. In this case, it's a fraction, then you negate it. So the perpendicular slope here is 4 over -1, but then you negate it, so it becomes 4 over 1, or just 4.
4 over 1. Okay, so then that's for the perpendicular line.
Well, there's a lot here. So we're gonna, I guess what I'm doing is I'm sort of moving on. I'm trying to give you the equation of the line to do this, but I guess let me go back and look. Plot the points on graph paper, then construct. Yes. Okay. So we're still doing part A. Sorry, we're still doing part A. All right. So part A is we're still doing part A. So there's more. The next thing you need is the midpoint.
Okay, so with the midpoint, that's like the middle of the graph, right?
The midpoint between these 2 points. So A is 0, 0, and C is 8, -2. So the midpoint is the average of the x's and the average of the y's. So it's 0 plus 8 divided by 2, 0 minus 2 divided by 2.
0 plus 8 divided by 2. And then are you treating that as like x1 and y1 and
yes, x1, y1, x2, y2. But you really want to do it as like the average, because it's kind of easier than thinking about the formula. But so the first ordered pair is 8 over 2, that's 4. -2 over 2 is -1. And you can see that's roughly that point right there.
All right. And to use the numbers for that, you used
A and C.
All right.
B is completely irrelevant at the moment.
Okay.
Okay, so there's an equation of a line that goes through this point right here.
Mhm.
Okay, and it has slope 4. So if you were to try to graph this by hand, you would go right to that point and you would do the slope of 4/1. You would go up 4
Mhm.
and then right 1.
And then that would be your uh
That's your
pi.
perpendicular bisector. Now, what I did not really do is clarify what a perpendicular bisector is.
Mhm.
It's perpendicular, which means they meet at 90 degrees, and it cuts it in half.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Perpendicular bisector.
Yeah, two things here on that.
Bisector. So you just say like 90-degree line and is the middle of a graph.
So it cuts it in half and it hits it at
Uh,
90 degrees.
90-degree hit and cuts in half. All right, thank you.
All right, now what I've attempted to do here is let me go back to the other screen really quick to show you this. Boy, I mean, like I said, it's like, let's do a whole bunch of new stuff. All right, so if you're seeing my screen, the Desmo screen, I made a line that went from A to C. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
You're following me, right?
Yeah,
That's why
I
I'm
see
asking.
it
Okay.
now.
And
It's a
then,
red green.
yeah, and then I've got the midpoint. There's my midpoint. And then I constructed the line that goes right through the midpoint. And you can probably see very well that it hits at 90 degrees there.
Yeah. It
So
doesn't
that's,
hit 90 degrees on both sides.
yes, all four are 90 degrees.
All right.
Now, yeah, so we'll leave it like that for the moment. So I feel like that's all of part A. Now it does say the word construct. And are you using a compass yet?
No.
Protractor? No. Okay,
I don't
that's
have a
good.
couple.
That's good. So, and then we did we're almost to part B.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so part B, it says to write the equation.
To write the equation.
So there's two equations, One is y equals mx plus b.
Mm-hmm.
For that, you need a slope and a b value.
And then, so for the b value, would I just use point
Well,
B?
no, we're not going to use that one.
Oh,
We're
okay.
going to use this one, y minus y1 equals slope, x minus x1. The reason we're going to use this one is because we need a slope and a point. And guess what you calculated in that problem? You calculated the midpoint, which we're going to use, and the slope.
Mm-hmm. So I would put in, so what's like the base formula for that? Because I'm assuming you already put in like all the numbers for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still not sharing.
No,
I did
it's
this.
all
I
good.
did this in my other lessons tonight.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm so sorry. So there's two equations, mx plus b, and you need a slope and a b value.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second equation, you need a slope and a point.
All right, right.
And that's the one we want to use because we've got a slope and a point.
Okay. X minus X. So then when you oh, that's Y1 and X1.
Yes.
Then,
So we're gonna use this point, the midpoint. We're gonna in all these problems, we're gonna use the midpoint and then the slope that we find. So the midpoint that we found is 4 comma -1. So that 4 goes in y1, that -1 goes in x1, and the slope we found was 4 as well.
oh, so then, okay. All right, that makes more sense now.
But we got to write the equation, and you got to be comfortable writing it. So it's y
Y
minus 4
minus
equals
4 M parentheses X minus, plus 1.
+1. Yeah. And so if
And
you
then,
write this, then you're good for part B.
all right, like I wouldn't have to like solve it or anything like that.
No, but that's coming.
Oh, okay.
So part C says to find the x and y-intercept of the line containing the perpendicular bisector. Okay, so the x-intercept is when y equals 0. So you have to,
That's for all of them, or
yes, so you put y equals 0 and then you solve for x.
y equals 0, then solve for x.
So you're
Okay.
so we're gonna do that here now. So y is 0, 0 minus 4 equals 4 times x plus 1. This is, your algebra 1 stuff. So it's minus 4 equals 4 times x plus 1. What do you think we should do next to solve this?
Multiply the 4 into the parentheses.
You can do that, and that's what most students do here. It's actually better to divide, but we're going to do it the way you said.
Okay.
It's
So,
better. It's better if the number works out perfectly. If it doesn't, then do what you just said. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Minus 8 equals 4x. Divide by 4.
-2.
X is -2. For the y-intercept, we make x 0. And that's very critical because it's completely the opposite. Y minus 4 equals 4 times 0 plus 1.
Oh, okay. Now I get that. The y 0, the x is 0. Okay. So then y equals -4. I guess I'd just say multiply the 4 into the parentheses again, but
Well, you would add here first. So 0 plus 1 is 1.
oh, just 1. Oh, right. Yeah, then it would just be 4.
Right. Y minus 4 equals 4. Add 4 to both sides. Y
Equals
equals,
8.
yeah.
So this is just kind of like algebra almost, but
Yes.
just with a shape.
Yes. Now part D, it says to determine if the point -1 comma -2 is collinear. So you have to put -1 -2 into that equation.
Okay, and then I treat -1 as like x1 and -2 is y1.
Yeah, x1 and y1. I'm sorry, x and y. Sorry, these are just x and
Oh, okay,
y's.
just x and y. So I guess
Yes.
-2 minus 4 equals 4 parentheses -1 plus 1.
Yes.
And then -6 equals 0.
Yeah, which is not true. So we would say no.
Okay. And then is there anything else after that?
That is it.
Okay.
It feels like a lot, but it goes a lot faster the next time around. And we should definitely do another one here. We should do, 6. Well, oh, so 6 is actually the same problem, but with the other points. Okay. All right, let me go back to, let me snip in the graph so that we've got it handy.
A 0.
All right. All right, so this time we want the perpendicular bisector of BC. So it's good to connect those two at least. So we need 2 things. We need the slope, BC, and we need the midpoint, BC. So can you calculate both of those for me, please?
Yeah. So the slope would be -8 over 4.
Yeah, -8 over 4. What does that simplify to?
2. -2, I mean.
-2. Good. And what is the midpoint?
The midpoint, you insert the negative.
Midpoint is just the midway between these two.
Oh, just the middle.
Yes.
6 and 2.
Yes, 6, 2. Good. Okay. So now,
I will be honest with you. I just like kind of guessed on that just by like looking at the line.
yeah, so then that works most of the time, but you're adding up, you're averaging the x values. 4 and 8, you're averaging.
Mhm.
You're averaging the y values.
4 plus 8, 6 plus minus 2. Okay, and that's the B and C, right?
The midpoint between B and C, yeah. So it ends up being 12/2, which is 6, 4/2, which is 2. And so it works.
X1 plus Y1, X2 plus Y2 over 2.
Yes,
All right.
that's what an average is. So the in red here, in red, I'm sort of trying to draw the
Line.
the perpendicular slope here. Looks something like that roughly.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the way we get that though is we have to take the opposite reciprocal of this slope. So
Uh-huh.
you have to flip it and then negate it.
So I think I heard this in class would be like -1 over +2.
So that's the flip of it, but not the negation of it.
All right.
So let's look at this. -2/1. If you flip it, becomes 1 over -2, but you have to negate it.
1 over
So if you
negative
negate it, it becomes -1 over -2, which reduces to
+1/2.
right. So the slopes, the perpendicular slopes, they always change sign. If one's positive, the other's negative. One's negative, the other's positive. They're always opposite in signs.
Always opposite. And I guess number-wise too, right? Since they're flipping.
You
Unless
flip
it's like
them as well. Yeah, that's another important part of it. Yeah.
all right. So then you use that knowledge
Well,
to
I mean, just be like, is that okay? Like, because you could, that's your new slope. That's your perpendicular slope.
yeah, I understand that.
Okay. So part A was like draw. So let me go back and look. Part A was just to draw it and construct the perpendicular bisector, which we kind of did in the drawing there. And then part B is the equation y minus y1 equals slope x minus x1.
All right, my minus y1 equals x minus x1. So then y is 0 if I'm figuring out x, right?
No. We got to use the point, the midpoint and the slope. We need the midpoint and the slope. That's why we found them, to put them in this equation.
Oh, right. So then x is 6, y is 2.
That's right. So it's y
So then,
minus 2 equals, what's the slope?
1/2 parentheses 8 minus 8 minus 8.
Where are you getting
I
8?
mean x minus 8. My bad.
We don't want to use 8. We want to use the midpoint.
6 minus 2.
X minus 6.
X minus 6. All right.
So like, somehow like this still isn't clear. So we gotta, like, we're just gonna start from the beginning again here. They want you to find the perpendicular BC, and I'm telling you, you need two things. You need the slope of BC and the midpoint of BC.
Uh-huh.
You found the slope, -2. You found the midpoint. You use the midpoint in the equation. Maybe we should write that immediately next time. But then we need the perpendicular slope for the equation.
Okay. M represents the slope.
Yes, the
All right.
perpendicular slope.
Perpendicular slope.
Yes.
And the
Okay.
perpendicular slope is when it's flipped.
The opposite reciprocal. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Now, the next part of this problem, C and D, they you know the drawing, all the stuff we did is irrelevant. Once you have this equation, that's how you can move through C. So C says to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. The x-intercept is when y equals 0.
So x.
And what that means is you're going to put 0 in for y. And
Okay.
I'd like you to do that. I'd like you to solve for x. It's a little bit harder, but I mean, you can still do it.
Six. Okay, wait. So I know this is really simple, but so if 1 equals 1/2 x.
It's not 1. I mean, it's maybe I misunderstood. I mean, it's a -2 on the left, but it's 1/2 times x minus 6.
Yeah, so then that would be -2 equals 1/2 x minus 3.
Yes.
And then I put the 3 with a 2. So
You add
like
3 to both sides.
so it's +1 equals 1/2 x.
Yes.
Why? What do I do? Does it just become like? I'm
What
confused.
you're asking me is what does 1/2 mean? 1/2 means division by 2. So like another way to write this is x divided by 2. And then how? And so you would solve this for x by undoing division by 2, by multiplying by 2, but you have to realize that you can just multiply by the reciprocal.
Okay,
It's the same thing.
Okay. All right, right, yeah, 2 1/2s make a whole.
Right. So what does x equal?
X equals 1. I mean 2, sorry.
2. Okay. So get this down, or if you're not, that's okay. You can get the notes later, but we need to do the y-intercept now.
All right. So then y int x equals 0 for this one.
Yeah. So for the y-intercept, you set x equal to 0.
Y minus 2 equals 1/2. 0 minus 6. Y minus 2 equals -3. Y equals -1.
6, so -3. Yeah, y equals -1. Good. Okay. So part D asks if a certain ordered pair is on the line. It wants to know if -1 comma -2 is on the line. So you have to put that value in for x and that value in for y and see if they're equal.
All right. Y minus 2 equals 1/2. 6. And I'm just drawing out the what you drew there on my notes.
Yep.
All right. So then that would be -2 equals 1/2. Okay, I'm not positive if I got this one right.
Do you have the same last line as me?
Yeah, I guess. I wrote like -3.5 instead of.
Okay. But so are these the same? Is -4 the same as -7/2?
Yeah.
But are they equal?
I wrote both of them as negative.
Yes, but I mean, I'm asking you like just imagine they're positive. Is 4 the same as 3.5?
No.
No.
So it
So
would be on.
so they're not collinear. They're not on the same line. They'd have to be exactly equal for them to be on the same line.
Okay. by exactly equal, what do you mean by that exactly?
You'd have to get the same number on the left as the right.
Oh, okay. So like, all right. And then that's showing you not the midpoint, the
It's just part D. Part D says determine if the point -1, -2 is on the line. It says collinear, but that means on the line.
okay.
If it's on the
Oh, I'm
line,
just like inserting -1 and -2.
yes, that's it. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when it's not like that, I just write not compatible or
Not collinear.
not collinear. Not collinear. All right.
Okay, so the good news is that went slightly faster than the last one. Still a lot of time, but that's okay. I mean, this isn't about, doing it fast, but we're gonna look at 7, and it's more of the same here.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. There's not much difference about this one. But let me go ahead and grab the snip of the graph. So we're looking at A to B this time. Do you see that? We're looking from A to B.
Yeah.
AB.
A.
So what are the two things we need to know about AB?
We need to know where they meet, I guess, like the points. Oh, the slope and midpoint.
Midpoint, perfect. Which one do you want to do first?
Let's do slope.
Okay, so I would just look at the graph and calculate rise over run.
All right. Um. Okay, -6 over.
It's from
Actually, right. Yeah, left to
left to
right.
right, left to right.
6 over 4.
Okay,
So 3 over 2.
3 halves, perfect. What is the midpoint?
The midpoint is 2 and 3.
You sound like you're guessing. How do you find the midpoint? It's the average of the x's and the average of the y's. I mean, you're correct, but I hope it's because you added up 0 and 4 and divided by 2, added up 0 and 6 and
Yeah,
divided by 2. And if you didn't, you will do that eventually.
yeah.
Okay, but we don't want the slope. We want the slope of the perpendicular line. Right? So what's the slope of the perpendicular line?
The slope of the perpendicular line would be you have to switch the slope, or the better word for it is
Flip, switch positions, top and bottom. Is there anything else you have to do?
I guess, would you make it -2?
Yes, you would negate it. So we actually don't care about the original slope anymore.
All right, so we only care about this new one.
Yeah, and we're already into part B, but part A is kind of requires you to draw it. I mean, I think you kind of need part B, but part B is to draw the equation of the line.
So then y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. I guess I had to look at the end of it for that, but so then you're inserting you're only using a b right now, so then a would be
No, you don't want to, you want to use the midpoint. You got to use the midpoint. That's why we calculated it.
Use midpoint. Okay, so then with the midpoint, I guess you'd put in y minus -2.
We're using this point right here.
Sorry, 2, y minus 2. No, 3.
3 equals.
Y minus 3 equals
What's the slope?
3.
Okay, good.
And then x is 2. I mean, no, it's x minus 2. And then you'd get y minus 3.
That's it. That's it. You're done. You're writing the equation. Like I want you to read the instructions to part B.
All right.
Can you read those out loud for us?
Sorry, I'm just trying to find them on the paper. Are they in the
For each problem, 5 through 11, and then A and then B.
sorry, could you just say that again? I'm a little lost.
That's okay. Let me just, I'm just trying to get you to like read it out loud so that, and I'm just gonna put it in front of you. And because I want you to like hear it in your own head. I just want you to read part B.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Write the equation of the line containing the perpendicular bisector.
So that's what this is. That's what this equation is. And we've drawn it, but it's this equation.
Okay. All right, yeah, then you'd move on.
But like, hang on, like this is important. Like that's why we're not trying to do a bunch of different problems in this lesson. Like we've done the same problem. Well, we've done the same 4 steps now 3 times in a row. And I got to make sure you understand, like, let's go back and look at the previous problem. This red was the perpendicular bisector, and that's the equation we came up for. We did this, you do that. And then we did that in the previous problem. We also found the perpendicular bisector. All right, still isn't clear. That's okay. Let's keep going here. Let's do part C. What does part C say to do?
Part C says find the x and y intercepts of the line containing the perpendicular bisector.
So we have to use our equation of the perpendicular bisector. That's what this is, the perpendicular bisector equation.
3.
So you've got to find the x-intercept. And that's by putting y equals 0 into the equation. Now this one's not great. This one's got some problems, but that's okay. So we have 0 minus 3 equals minus 2/3 x minus 2.
All right. So 0 minus 3 equals negative 2/3 x minus 2.
Yes. Now, when we distribute this fraction in, okay, you can treat this 2 on the right as 2 over 1. So when you multiply it, you multiply the top and then the bottom.
Plus 4/3. So
yes.
Is it plus 4/3 because you're treating it as those 2 negatives making a positive?
Yeah, you could say minus 4/3, but then it become plus. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now to do the next part of this is where you actually probably want to clear the fraction.
So just divide everything. No, multiply everything by 3.
Multiply everything by 3. Yes.
Okay. And then that would leave you with negative 13 equals minus 2x.
Yes. And then you divide by negative 2. So x equals 13 over 2.
All right. And that's all part C.
No, well, it's like part C, letter I, because we got to find the y-intercept.
All right. So then, so we got rid of y on that one. So this one we're going to get rid of x. So y minus 3 equals negative 2/3, 0 minus 2. Would I still write the 0 in the parentheses?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's good to do.
Okay. And then with the minus 2, you're going to just act like there's a 3 under it. And then
no, there's a 1 under it, not a 3.
Oh, right. My bad. A 1.
Right.
And then you're going to probably want to multiply everything by 3.
Not yet. You really want to get this fraction isolated.
Okay. Minus it would not be minus because there's two negatives. So then it
That's
would
right.
be
That's right.
4/3.
Yes.
And then you can just multiply all of those numbers by 3, which would
Yeah.
be,
So that gives
yeah.
you 3y minus 9 equals 4.
And then that would just be 3y equals 13, y equals 13/3.
Good.
And then,
Part D, you have to take the equation, the perpendicular bisector equation, and you have this point, -1 comma -2, and you put that in for x and for y.
so I'm not so am I going to use the numbers from part C into
No,
this? Or I'm
nope,
just
nope,
inserting
nope,
two random numbers?
nope.
It's like it's not even the same thing almost.
It's really unrelated. I mean, I actually kind of like the question, but I can see why this is terribly confusing because it's really like 4 questions, A,
Yeah.
B, C, and D. But there's only a couple of these types of problems in this class, but this is
Oh,
one of them. So
okay.
-2 minus 3 equals -2/3 -1 -2. And what you're hoping for is that the left side equals the right side.
Yeah, like they're the same numbers.
They're exactly the same. Yeah. And does that happen?
Not frequently.
Not so far. It probably will eventually happen.
So then that would just be 2, and then those would be non-congru yeah, not
Not
collinear.
not collinear, yeah. Not collinear.
Okay. Yeah, something that like I used to do Kumon,
Mhm.
and like it's like your parent, like you're familiar with Kumon, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, it's like your parents are kind of like the teacher, and like it would always take me like 3 or 4 times to doing something before I could like kind of understand it. Like when I was little, I was like learned all the +1s, and then like the +2s, like I couldn't get it. Like my mom was like, oh, like she went up to the head person and he's like, I think my like kid's like special needs or something, like he doesn't get this, or and they just had to do it a bunch. So I think this is like, I'm not sure if that was like kind of clear before with you, but it takes me like a couple of tries before I like start to understand it. Like now I feel a little bit more confident with this.
Yeah, absolutely. But the truth is that almost everyone, if they do all these studies, they like try to see how many numbers you can remember in a row or words or this or
Uh-huh.
that. And unless you're trained to like hold on to the information, yeah, it's gonna be really hard to do that. So
Yeah.
rather than us moving on to a new topic, and
Mhm.
if you need me to message your dad or talk to your dad and say, hey, we only got through one topic. I mean, I can do that and let him know that you need some more lessons, but let's keep going and keep doing a couple more problems here
Yeah, of
in
course.
the time we have left and see if you can get it. So this time I am not going to draw the triangle because these 2 letters tell us the 2 letters that we care about.
Yeah.
We don't care about that one. We won't use it at all.
All right. So then with G and H.
So we need now the slope from G to H. Okay, but the only thing that the graph kind of helps with is knowing left to right, right to left. Okay,
Mhm.
but the slope formula actually takes care of that.
So that's X1 and Y1 and
Yes. But if like it happens to be flipped, it actually still works out. So that's one of the advantages of the slope formula. So this is 5 minus -3, 3 minus -1.
and then okay. So that one's X X2 minus Y2 over X1 minus Y1.
Let me write it out for you. I'm sorry.
No,
I
it's all
I
good.
thought you had this one
Yeah, it's
already
all good.
back there in the back, cave. But yeah, you got to know this formula. You got to be able to, roll out of bed and know it.
All right. Equals Y squared minus X1. All right. So then with that, you get the slope and you need to like flip it to find the midpoint.
Yeah, well, you flip it, not to find the midpoint, but you flip it and then you negate it.
-1/2. So could you technically just make the negative sign in front of both of the numbers, like not like written
No,
twice?
you mean like this?
Yeah.
Yes, but what happens is sometimes it bleeds into the fraction bar.
Like confuse it.
And that, so I wrote some software and I always said we need to put it in the numerator because make it clear for students, even
Mhm.
though it's presented in front in textbooks. It's for exactly the reason you just asked.
Oh.
Okay, let's look at the midpoint. This is again where you need the formulas: x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2.
So then I'm going to use G and H once again, correct?
Yes, yes.
All right. So then that would give you -1 plus 3/2 and -3 plus 5/2. And they're both going to be 1.
They are. They're actually both 1. So part B wants the equation of the perpendicular bisector y minus y1 mx minus x1.
And then those two ones is the one on the left is X, the one on the right is Y.
These are actually x1 and y1.
All right. Is
And
the next one where it's like,
yes, that's
all
it.
right.
Yeah, so y minus 1 equals -1/2 x minus -1.
All right. So then Y, so right now I'm not solving for one in specific.
This is just write the equation of the perpendicular bisector.
Okay.
We have to write the equation of the line.
So then,
That's part B. Like, is that
okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Like really everything leads to part B. And
Uh-huh.
then you could graph it, which it does ask for, but just we need the equation. That's why we're doing this over and over again, because we really need the equation.
Yeah. And then, so for C, you'd use, this is when you make the Y or the X 0.
That's right. Okay. So let's do this because this was a struggle in the last room. So let's find the x-intercept.
The x-intercept, all right, so then I guess 0 minus 1 equals -1/2 parentheses x minus 1.
Yes, I'd like you to try solving this on your own.
All
If you
right.
need to, refer to the previous problem that we did.
All right. All right, I'm not super sure if I got this one.
What's your final answer?
+4, x equals 4.
Okay, so it's not as far off as maybe you'd think. What is the first thing that you did?
I multiplied the parentheses, so I made it -1/2 x minus. I did. Oh, okay. Yeah, I wrote 2/2 instead of 1/2.
Okay, so you got to distribute it into both. It does change the sign. And then from here, you probably were going to multiply everything by 2.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that would have made more sense. And then, yeah, then x would equal 3.
Yes, x equals 3. You gotta look at the fractions and say, I don't like you, so I'm gonna get rid of you, and that would
Yeah.
help. But just
Okay.
the sign error is probably all that caused it. So, okay, no big deal. Let's try going and finding the y-intercept now.
All right.
So the y-intercept. The y-intercept is when x equals 0. So that's y minus 1 equals minus 1/2, 0 minus 1. And go ahead and try working through that, please.
All right. All right. I think it's y equals 3/2.
All right, so it's y minus 1 equals positive 1/2. You add 1, yeah, y equals 3/2. Good.
All right.
All right, and so the last part of the last part D, we'll do that together because we are short on time, is to try the ordered pair -1 comma -2. And again, that's when you put it in for x and y. I know that I can see now why this is so confusing, because it's like, when do I put the,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sorry, it's just it's
That's
just
just the way it is.
it's just the way it is. If it were easy, everyone would do it. So -2 minus 1 gets you -3. Minus 1/2 times -2 ends up being positive 1. So these are not the same. So we could say not collinear.
Not collinear.
Yeah.
All right. And then collinear is when.
It is on the line when they are equal.
All right.
Now, I mean, I know I say this a lot, but this is actually the one time where you really, really, really need to go back and probably redo all of these examples at some point, whether it's tonight, tomorrow, watch the YouTube. Like, really, this is going to be really hard for you because, like you said, of all the steps. So
Yeah.
I would encourage you to do that. I know it's not exciting, but maybe throw some tennis on in the background and
Yeah.
and I don't know, or treat yourself to some tennis when this is over. But
Yeah.
we did not get through everything. We definitely would want to do we probably need another lesson to do the 15, 16, 17 problems on there.
Yeah. So is like perpendicular bisectors and altitudes, are they like the same thing, or?
Yes, they're similar, but they're not the same. There's a lot of the same things that we would do,
Okay.
but they're actually there's a little bit more work and altitudes on some problems.
All right.
Sorry, just got more difficult in this class. So
Yeah, it's a lot of work that was or a lot of stuff to learn given in like a 2-day span. So
yeah. Well, hey, you know what you're doing? You're doing the best you can. That's all anyone can ask of you. But that does take us to the end of our lesson tonight, Zach, and be happy to help you again. I think I've got some times tomorrow still available, but let me know if I can help.
all right, yeah, cool. Thank you,
You're
Matthew.
welcome. Bye now.
See ya.